All right. Welcome to the deep dive. You know how this works. We take like a whole mountain of info
Yeah,
and we boil it down to the good stuff, the really useful insights, just for you.
exactly.
This time, we're diving into the Bain report,
Oh, great one.
how India shops online in 2025.
Yeah, we've been digging into that one quite a bit.
We have. This is like your fast track
Absolutely.
to understanding what's up
For sure.
with this really fascinating and like rapidly changing market.
Huge market, too. I mean, just in 2024, Indian e-retail hit about $60 billion
Wow.
in GMV, gross merchandise value. So basically the total value of all the stuff sold online.
That is a lot of stuff.
And you want to hear something crazy?
Yeah, hit me.
India now has the world's second largest online shopper base.
Second.
And get this, India is also now the third largest retail market globally just this year.
Well, I mean, that just puts it all in perspective. So for this deep dive, our mission for you is to really unpack like what's going on in Indian online shopping right now. Understand where it stands, what's driven that like crazy growth.
It's been quite a ride.
It has. And also, what about those like, recent kind of hiccups we've seen?
They're having some, yeah.
And then to like really zoom in on those key trends that are going to like define its future.
Exactly. And hopefully uncover a few surprises along the way.
Some like really actionable stuff for you.
You're right, the useful stuff.
So first things first, the report, it kind of, points out that consumption, how much people are spending, especially on like those, non-essential things.
Discretionary spending, yeah.
Yeah, discretionary spending. In India, that's been like facing some headwinds, right?
A little bit, yeah. E-retail growth in 2024, it's projected to be around like 10% to 12%,
Okay.
which compared to the, 20% plus growth rates we've been used to,
Right.
that is a bit of a slowdown.
Yeah. It seems like there are some like pretty obvious, underlying economic factors at play, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Higher inflation, eating into budgets.
That's a big one.
Big one.
Yeah.
And maybe even more, impactful real wages, they haven't really kept up
Not at all.
with rising costs. Right. The data shows, female real earnings were down like around 20% in FY24 compared to before COVID.
Right.
And male earnings a bit down too.
Yeah, a little bit.
So that kind of pressure, it's bound to affect how people spend,
For sure.
especially on, those things they don't absolutely need.
Those wants rather than the needs.
Yeah, exactly. So that broader economic situation, I mean, it's pretty clear that it's had this impact on, discretionary spending.
No doubt about it.
And online shopping. I mean, a lot of that falls into discretionary.
A big chunk of it. Yeah.
Has really felt it.
Absolutely.
But the report, it also suggests that this slowdown, it might be like temporary.
Oh, fool.
Fingers crossed.
Right. The thinking is that fiscal and monetary policy interventions,
Yeah.
they should start to have an effect, and we should see a rebound in e-retail growth, maybe starting, around the festive period in 2025.
Okay, so here's where things get really interesting. Okay.
I'm listening.
They're predicting like an 18% or higher annual growth rate for the next 6 years.
Wow.
By 2030, the Indian e-retail market, they're saying it could hit a massive $170 to $190 billion in GMV.
That's huge.
With almost 1 in every 10 retail dollars being spent online.
That's a serious shift.
I mean, that's a total like transformation.
Yeah, it really is. And, if we look at the bigger economic picture, this rebound, it lines up with India's per capita GDP, crossing that $3,500 to $4,000 mark.
Right.
Globally, that's like a tipping point.
Okay.
It's where people start spending way more on non-essentials and, doing more of that spending online.
Interesting.
And we're already seeing this play out within India.
Right.
States with a per capita GDP above $3,500, they already have 1.2 times higher e-retail penetration.
That makes sense.
It's like a preview of what's to come for the rest of the country.
Yeah, I get it. So it's not just about these like huge overall numbers, is it?
No, not at all.
The report digs into like what people are buying online,
Right.
and where this future growth is gonna like come from.
Exactly.
It seems like it's those like everyday high frequency categories.
Yeah, the stuff people buy all the time.
Yeah, those are gonna be the real like drivers of growth going forward.
Absolutely. Things like grocery, lifestyle products, general merchandise. That's going to be like 2 out of every $3 spent online by 2030.
Wow.
And get this, we're expecting to see a 2 to 4-fold increase in how much of these essential categories are bought online. People are getting more and more comfortable buying their everyday needs online.
Makes sense. And it's not just the big cities anymore, is it?
Nope, not at all. The report highlights this, like, really important expansion into smaller cities and towns across India.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Think about this. 3 out of every 5 new online shoppers since 2020 are coming from Tier 3 cities or smaller.
That's a huge shift.
It really is. It's all about bringing access to goods to more remote areas, places where consumers might not have had as much choice before.
Right.
The Northeast region is a great example. They have about 1.2 times higher e-retail shopper penetration compared to the rest of India, probably because online shopping is filling that gap, where they might not have as many physical retail stores.
Makes sense. And it's not just the people buying, it's the people selling online too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
60% of new sellers who've joined platforms since 2021, they're based in Tier 2 cities or smaller.
Wow. So it's becoming this like more distributed.
Yeah, more spread out.
And maybe even like more resilient e-commerce ecosystem across the country.
More resilient, definitely.
So we've talked about the slowdown, the rebound, where the growth is expected to come from, categories, geography.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
Now, the report dives into what it calls the 3 disruptions.
Oh, yeah. This is where it gets really interesting.
This is going to like really shape the future of Indian e-retail. Let's get into those. First one, quick commerce or Q-commerce.
Right, Q-commerce. What's so transformative about it is that promise of delivery in under 30 minutes.
That's fast.
It's incredibly fast. And it's not just some small thing. In 2024, over 2/3 of all online grocery orders and about 1/10 of total e-retail spending happened through these Q-commerce platforms.
It's catching on.
It's huge. What's really interesting, and this is kind of unique to India compared to global trends, is that some players in this space are actually scaling their operations profitably.
Really? That's surprising.
Right. You'd think with such fast delivery, it'd be a logistical nightmare, but...
Yeah, and expensive.
Exactly. So what's making it work in India?
That is the question.
Well, a few things. One is high population density in urban areas. That makes quick deliveries much more efficient.
Makes sense.
And then they're using these networks of smaller, lower rent, dark stores.
Dark stores.
Yeah, basically they're just warehouses dedicated to online orders.
Okay.
And they're located close to consumers, so that keeps costs down.
Wow.
It's a really clever combination. And it's created this favorable environment for Q-commerce to, really thrive in India.
Yeah, it's working.
It is, and attracting tons of platforms and tons of customers.
So what about the growth projections for Q-commerce?
Oh, they're pretty remarkable.
I bet.
We're looking at over 40% annual growth through 2030, and while it started with groceries, it's expanding quickly.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Into categories like general merchandise, mobile phones, electronics, even apparel. That's now 15% to 20% of their sales.
Wow, so it's not just, snacks and milk anymore.
Nope, not at all.
That.
And while the top 6 metros still make up most of the sales, growth beyond those big cities is picking up too. And it's not just about expanding geographically. These companies are also getting smarter about their business models.
How so?
They're increasing average order values, getting people to buy more in each order,
Clever.
and they're lowering supply chain costs, by sourcing products directly.
Oh, okay.
Plus, they're boosting their margins by introducing advertising and charging sellers fees.
Yeah, I gotta make money somehow.
Right. And the model seems to be evolving towards this 2-speed approach.
2-speed.
Yeah, so super fast delivery, under 15 minutes for those really essential items, and then a still rapid delivery within an hour for a much wider range of products.
Makes sense, like the stuff you need right away versus the stuff you can wait a bit for.
Right.
Okay, so that's quick commerce. What about the second disruption? Trend-first commerce.
Trend-first commerce. This one's all about, constantly launching new collections that are super trendy.
Okay.
And often they're offered at more affordable prices.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This approach is really taking off, especially in fashion.
Fashion, yeah, makes sense.
Trend-first fashion alone is projected to quadruple in size to $8 to $10 billion by 2028, with more than half of that being online sales.
Wow.
And it's not just clothes. We're seeing it in beauty, electronics, even luggage.
So what are some examples?
Well, think about the whole Korean glass skincare routine that's been huge.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Or brightly colored smartwatches. People want the latest and greatest.
And they want it now.
Exactly. And India is the perfect place for this to boom.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. Huge base of young consumers. They're value conscious and super active on social media.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the influencer and supplier ecosystems are growing like crazy.
So for a brand trying to break into India,
Yeah,
it might be more about like jumping on those social media trends early on
absolutely.
rather than like slowly building brand loyalty like the traditional way.
Exactly. It's a much faster paced game.
And there's a kind of playbook, right?
Yeah, there's a global playbook these trend first players tend to follow.
What's it look like?
Well, it's very tech driven. They use social media to target Gen Z directly.
Okay.
They drop these like super trendy, low price collections almost daily, guided by algorithms.
Algorithms, huh?
Yeah, they can spot trends before they even happen.
That's wild.
It is. And they use a test and scale model, quickly boosting production on what's popular.
And ditching what's not.
Exactly. The whole user experience is about novelty, keeping people engaged, always having something new.
It's like a constant stream of new stuff.
It is, and we're seeing a bunch of players doing this in India, like established brands like Zudio, H&M,
Yeah, I've seen those.
and online platforms like Flipkart Spoil, Myntra Fruit,
Right.
plus newer brands like Urbanic and Shine.
Right. Okay, so that's trend first commerce. What about the third disruption? Hyper value commerce. Sounds like it's all about like rock bottom prices.
That's it in a nutshell. Hyper-value commerce is about offering the lowest prices possible.
Makes sense.
And we've seen this explode globally.
Yeah, with companies like Temu.
Team is a perfect example. Their growth in the US has been insane.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's talking about them.
Everyone. They're gaining users and sales at a crazy rate.
And this trend is like really hitting India too, right?
Big time. Hyper-value commerce in India has gone from about 5% of the GMV in 2021 to over 12% in 2024.
Wow, that's a huge jump.
It's massive, and they're appealing to lower middle income consumers, especially in tier 2 cities and smaller towns.
So they're making like a lot of products.
Tons of products.
Affordable for people who might not have had access before.
Exactly. And they're attracting sellers like crazy too, offering things like financing and zero commission models.
Like they're shaking things up.
They're changing the game.
So quick commerce, trend first commerce, hyper value commerce. These are like the big forces shaping how Indians shop online.
The three disruptions, yeah. But the report makes this really important point. India's not just one big, homogenous market, is it?
No, not at all. It's super diverse.
So many different kinds of shoppers.
Exactly. The report emphasizes the heterogeneity of the market. Purchase behaviors, they vary a lot depending on things like age, region, city, tier, even how established online shopping is in a particular area.
It's like many Indias within one India.
It really is.
So let's start with age. Gen Z, they're like almost 40% of all e-retail shoppers in India.
Yeah, they're a huge force.
So what makes them different? How do they shop online?
Well, for one, they spread their shopping across more than 5 different platforms a year. They're not loyal to just one.
Interesting.
And they're way more experimental in their buying. They spend 3 times more on what the report calls insurgent fashion brands.
So they're more willing to try new things.
Way more. And social media is everything for them. 70% discover new brands online, and they make decisions fast.
So they see it, they like it, they buy it.
Pretty much. And when it comes to paying, over 90% use UPI. UPI, that's like the mobile payment system.
Yeah, it's huge in India.
Yeah.
And as Gen Z enters the workforce and their income grows.
They're going to have more money to spend.
Exactly. Brands need to understand them now more than ever.
That makes sense. Okay, so what about regional differences?
Regions. India is so diverse, and that definitely impacts how people shop online.
Yeah, I can imagine.
For example, in the north, brands are often seen as status symbols. So you see more searches for branded men's fashion there.
Interesting.
But in the south, brands are more about quality and reliability, so more branded searches for electronics.
So different priorities.
Exactly. And you see regional preferences in all sorts of categories, like the north prefers trendier clothes, maybe bootcut jeans,
Okay.
while the northeast often needs smaller apparel sizes.
Oh, interesting.
Even within a city like Bengaluru, snack preferences vary by neighborhood.
Wow, that's super granular.
It is. And here's a cool fact. The Northeast, even though they have less access to physical stores, they actually have more e-retail shoppers per capita.
Really?
Yeah, about 1.2 times more than the rest of India. Online shopping is bridging that gap.
Makes sense. So what about city tier? Like metros versus smaller cities. How does that affect behavior?
What's interesting is shoppers in tier 2 cities and smaller towns, they actually have comparable spending power to those in the big cities.
Really? I wouldn't have guessed that.
It's true. The average prices for electronics, appliances, general merchandise, they're pretty much in line.
Wow.
And they're buying more premium brands, too.
So it's not just about, like, cheaper stuff?
Not at all. And get this. They often see sponsored listings as a sign of quality.
So ads are actually, like, a good thing for them.
They can be, yeah. It's all about trust.
Interesting.
And what's driving this adoption in smaller cities? Faster delivery, cash-on delivery, and more effective e-retail advertising.
It's like the barriers are coming down.
They are. And the report talks about e-retail maturity, too.
What's that?
It's about how established online shopping is in a city. Like Coimbatore and Vadodara, they're in mature markets. Higher adoption, more affluent shoppers, compared to newer markets like Prayagraj and Warangal.
So the mature markets, they spend more online.
Yeah, about 40% more per shopper, and they buy more premium products and try newer brands.
So it's like the more comfortable people are with shopping online, the more they spend and the more adventurous they get.
Exactly.
So with all this diversity, age, region, city tier, I mean, how can brands and sellers actually, like, navigate this?
It's about recognizing those nuances and catering to them.
So like, what are some concrete strategies?
Well, the report outlines a few key things.
Right.
1, tailor your product range. Different regions want different things, different features, different prices.
Yeah, makes sense.
2, create products that align with trends, like that Korean fashion thing we talked about.
And find those, like, unmet needs.
Exactly. 3, use targeted advertising. Reach the right people with the right message.
Yeah.
And 4, focus on the customer experience. Get good ratings and reviews, offer fast delivery, have great product catalogs.
So basically be good at what you do.
Yeah, but also be smart about who you're targeting and how you're doing it.
And the report has some good examples, right,
Yeah.
of brands doing this well.
Oh, yeah, tons of examples. Like Coca-Cola. They tailor their product range to the market's maturity. Full range in established markets, localized flavors in newer ones.
So they're adapting.
Adapting to the local tastes.
And what about Safari, the luggage brand?
Safari, they adjust their marketing. Durable bags in the north, stylish ones in the south.
Because people travel differently.
Right, different needs.
And what about Boat, the audio brand?
Boat, they've built this great brand narrative, a sense of community, really connecting with Gen Z.
So it's not just about the product, it's about the feeling.
The feeling, the connection.
And lastly, what about Hair, the appliance company?
Hair, they analyze things like climate and income to make localized campaigns.
So they're really thinking about specifics of each region.
They are. It's all about understanding those many Indias.
So to wrap things up, this has been a really, like, fascinating deep dive into Indian online shopping.
It's a wild world out there.
It is. It's a massive market, super complex, super diverse.
And full of opportunity.
You got to understand those nuances.
Absolutely. If you can cater to the many Indias,
You can win.
you can win big. And that brings us to a final thought for you, our listener.
Ooh, always love a final thought.
We've talked about all these trends, the disruptions, the diversity.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
It is. So the question for you is, what's the next big thing? What niche, what behavior is everyone overlooking?
That's a good question.
Think about it. Quick commerce, trend-first commerce, hyper-value commerce, the regional differences, the age groups.
There's the next opportunity hiding.
Exactly. What's the next big wave, and are you ready to ride it?
So much to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll be back soon with another one.
Until then, keep diving.
Deep diving. All right. We'll see you next time.
I'll see you then.